Hello, welcome to Nice Ethereal Epiphanies. This is where I talk about all the things. I talk about psychology, things going on in my life, etc., everything, and just give my thoughts on it. First of all, I just want to say welcome to my channel. Second of all, welcome to 2025. I don't know about you guys, but I always forget that it's a new year, and I spend the first 2 weeks normally being like, saying it's the year before. But this year, I don't know why. You know what? I think I know why. It's because I actually did a video before this, and I had to keep correcting myself. I think now I've said it enough that I remember it's 2025. I hope you're getting a great start to your year already. I hope that your year will be plentiful, that you will have lots of great things come your way. That's I'm hoping for myself as well. Also, I hope you guys can hear me. I don't usually record in the room because first of all, there's cameras outside the room, and it's just weird to have certain conversations with you guys, knowing that there's Big Brother, and so I don't normally record in here, but also like it's getting cold outside. So I will say that I'm recording this video today, well, right now, because I recorded another video before this, and I was like, okay, it started really positive. It's an overall positive video. But I realized after when I was editing it, I was like, "Hmm, actually, you kinda go a little bit dark a couple of times in the video about things that are not super positive," and I was like, "Girl, okay, the first video of the year should be positive, super positive. Start with that, and then go into the next video." So in the other video, I'll probably publish that, if not after this one, maybe, well, after, and I just wanted to come back on and just do a new video and start fresh and just give you guys some updates. So the other video is me giving updates about my situation, my life plans, etc., how things have changed, and what I'm planning to do. So I won't spend too much time talking about that in this video, but I will say, sorry, I just had tea, but I will say that if you've been following along and you're not new here, that you know that I've been homeless for all of 2024. I lived overseas for a very long time, and I just came back to the United States in 2024. And the girl was homeless then, like actual homeless, like living on the street. Not living on the street, but I did spent some nights on the street in Chicago and New York. And it's just been really difficult. I've been in this place for quite some time now, though. And it was always like up in the air. I never knew, do I have to go now? Do I have to go now? Do I have to go now? And then 2 weeks ago, I was like, you gotta go now. So it's like, you know, but the positive thing is that I can stay here for another 30 days. I mentioned that in another video. So that's something good happening right now. So as I said, because of the things I talked about in another video, I was thinking this video, I just want to talk about some there wasn't a lot of good that happened in 2024, but I'm extracting the things, I'm thinking about everything. So when I was thinking about doing this video, I was like, okay, there are some things that I can say. Sorry. I don't know if someone's here or it's the wind. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so someone did come in the house. Let me just tell you, I would never live in a house by myself, ever, because I'm too scared. In fact, I always said my entire life that I'll never stay in a house with one floor. I'm not in a house with one floor now, but I did before. And it was very scary to me. I remember when I was a kid, I had a cousin who was in the military, and we used to go stay in his trailer. I hated it. Freaked me out. I wouldn't sleep. But fast forward, the only time I really felt comfortable being on like a single level place and sleeping was when I was in Romania. I rent out a tiny house. And that was really scary for me also because the tiny house was like full of windows. And even though they said the windows you couldn't see inside the house, you could. You could. You could see inside the house. Because I would go outside the house and look inside with the lights off and on, and you could see inside the house. But thankfully, nothing bad ever happened. It was actually a really great experience. But the first night, I was like so freaked out because I was like, what if somebody just break the window and just snatch me? I was like kind of freaked out. So I'm not super fond of staying in like single level homes and homes in general. I'm just like, I'm just, maybe because I grew up in New York and it's just freaks me out. So anyway, back to what I was talking about. Okay, before that happened, I was talking about the positive things. Okay, so the positive thing one, I have a place to stay right now. That's great. Two, mm, I feel like even though things are not going well for me right now with life, I oddly feel like positive because this summer things were going just as bad, but I felt very like hopeless, very angry. I felt like I didn't want to be on this planet anymore, which is like a reoccurring theme for me from when I was here in Europe. And I'm just, I can't figure out like why do I feel happier even though it's still bad. I think it's mainly because I'm around nature now. And that's another thing is that even when things were going bad in Europe, I would just take a trip to the forest and that would just make me feel better and make me feel calmer, even though my life is full of chaos. But I think it's more than that. I feel like I've come to terms with certain things that's happened over the past 2 years. I think I was definitely beating myself up a lot about a lot of things and blaming myself. And it was really some things that happened recently. I'm not sure. I have to think about how to talk about them properly before I start talking about them. But some things happened, and I was like, why am I letting this person make me feel this way? Why am I like, why do I care what this person says? You know? But I think it's attached to like my childhood and how like I was always led to believe that I was a horrible kid, even though I was a really good kid. Like compared to what I've heard about other family members, like having to be body slammed because they talked back. If I ever talked back, I was a good kid, but you know, I want to say, well, okay, sorry, I should go back. My parent that I lived with, always made me feel like I wasn't good enough. I was a bad kid. I was a bad person. I was this, I was that. And I'm so glad I had people outside of the home that showed me I was none of those things because I can see if I was only told those things, how much worse my mental health would have been as a kid. Because I'm seeing that now, that like when a person had said something to me recently, and it's like they were trying to say, I knew you were nothing. I knew you were a piece of S. I knew, you know, in the moment, it really did get to me because it brought me back to my childhood. But then I was like, girl, you're not any of that. That person is like gaslighting you. For real, I'm so glad that this is what I'm happy about. I'm happy that I'm at the point when I could recognize if or when I've actually done something wrong or if I'm at fault versus when the other person is just a gaslighter and an abuser and controlling. I'm happy about that. That now, after all these things have happened, when I'm being gaslit or abused or X, Y, and Z, I can recognize it and I'm not blaming myself. I'm not taking on something that someone else is projecting on me that might have actually been an issue they had with someone else. And now they're like, well, you're the same, you're just like that. When you're nothing like that. I feel at peace now that this thing happened. And I was like, in the moment, they almost got me. They almost got to me. And then I was like, once I calmed down everything, I was like, I'm none of that, and none of that actually happened. And I have the receipts to prove it because, I record everything. And I was like, actually, that's not true. And in the moment, I could have defended myself, but I've learned over the years that when some people don't like you, even if they have no reason to, they'll just find more reasons to not like you and then gaslight you. And I'm just like, and I realized that that's what was happening. And like now I'm so happy that I didn't let that get me down. It did get me down for maybe like a day or two because other things happened in that conversation. But I'm so happy. I'm like so proud of myself that I can say now, like, that I'm not letting those things get to me. Because if this was like 6 months ago and that conversation happened, I would have been like ruminating on those words and taking them on. You, you don't try hard enough. You're not doing good enough. You're not, you know, I mean, another thing, you can't blame me for the economy. Like, it's my fault that so many other people can't find work either. It's my fault, like, when the homelessness rate is gone up to, I think, by 18%. It's like a record high, you know? I feel better knowing that I am actually trying really hard. I am doing the best that I can, and I'm not gonna let someone gaslight me and make me feel like I'm not, bring down my confidence. And that's another thing is that I realize that I lost my confidence. I really lost my confidence. I really, really did. I lost my confidence. And I feel happier and better now because I feel my confidence coming back. I feel the old Diet coming back, but like Maya 2.0. I feel like I was confident before, but I think I was confident because I had like a village of people, you know, boosting my confidence. And now I feel like I don't need anyone to boost my confidence. I can boost my own confidence. Even before, I would do things like affirmation and stuff like that. And that does help. I think it does boost your confidence when you also have people feeding things into you. Wow, you are really smart. You are really knowledgeable. You are great at your job. You are really great at IT. You can do all these things. I think that always made me feel like that I think validated the people growing up that tried to make, or really not too many people, it was only a few people that tried to make me feel otherwise. But when I became an adult and I was told the opposite, it was like, yeah, I am all that. And then at one point, it got to the point where I might have got a little bit too big headed and I got a little bit besides myself. But I, okay, so yeah, so I did get besides myself. I'll admit it, I did. And then I got checked real quick. Yeah, and just a quick funny story about that, because I was at a point in my career where, like, any job I wanted, like, any amount, like, I was getting it, and let me tell you, I'll give a bigger I'll tell the whole story later, I'll never forget this. I was working at a company, and they were doing layoffs, and I remember being on a dinner with my mentor, and I was telling her, "They're doing layoffs and X, Y, and Z." I was like, "I think I'm good." So I was telling my mentor all this, and it was really funny before this all happened. My manager had asked me, like, "Hey, are you willing to go move to this other office?" And I was like, "Mm, yeah, but I don't really want to, and I'd rather not." Like, I wasn't getting it. Like, he was warning me, "Hey, we're about to shut down the New York office." And he asked, he's like, "Oh, well, if, you know, if needed, like, if you ever need any." He was like, if things, because the whole company, it did shut down the company eventually, but they were letting go of offices and people so often. I think he was trying to warn me that I would probably be next. I was so young and stupid because I'm not even joking, like, everyone in my department was gone. Everyone except for me, I was the last one. It was, like, 3 of us left, and here I am thinking like, "Oh, no, I'm good," like, "I'm helping them make the money, I'm doing all the things." No, girl, and honestly, I found out later that if I would've moved to the other office, I would've still had my job for another year and a half. Because, yeah, the whole office had shut down, but they were, like, doing it very gradually. It wasn't like, "Hey, we're shutting down the New York office next week." It wasn't like that. So anyway, so I'm at the dinner with my mentor, and I'm telling her all this, and she's, "So you don't think that you might be next?" It was I Wow, miss you. The craziest thing is I think we had dinner on a Thursday or Friday, and to remind you, I was the IT person, so I was the person who was cutting off everyone else's access, like, every other day because people were getting let go because they were both being laid off, and so I know how that whole process goes, but it never occurred to me I had never been laid off before or anything, and so it never occurred to me that one day would happen to me too. Oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing, but I can laugh about it now. So anyway, so to remind you, I'm the last person in my department. At this point, it's only 3 of us in the entire company. The New York office was shutting down, and everyone else, the other 2 had moved to the headquarters, except for me, which I got the warning to move, but I didn't make it, die. And so that weekend, like, some of my stuff was getting cut off, like, slowly, and I was like, "What's that about? Maybe that was a mistake. Who did that?" And then I couldn't log into the admin console, and I was like, "Oh, snap. I can't log into the what's going on?" How'd I even get on on this story? But yeah, anyway, long story short, now Monday I walk in and they was like, "Girl, you getting laid off?" I was like, "Oh my God, for real? Me?" And this is only I think my mentor told me on Tuesday or Friday, and that Monday morning, I think it was like I used to come in at 10 o'clock, and I got a email saying, "Hey, what time you coming in?" I came in early at 9, and the guy was sitting there with the envelope when I came. Oh my gosh, that was crazy. I'm forgetting why I even told that story, but I think it was like sorry, I was telling that story because it's talking about confidence and how, that was one time that, I kind of got, whipped back into shape. So, yeah, I feel like I am slowly getting back to the point of feeling confident again. And the point that I was saying before I got into that story is that, like, I'm feeling like the old confident Naya, but the old confident Naya without a village and a network. Because, and if I share this before, I can't talk to my family or friends right now. It's a whole lot, but I can't ever talk about that online. But I don't have my village. I don't have my tech village. And I guess I've had this like awakening of you can be confident without other people putting that into you. I think it's a nice addition, but I'm realizing like you have to do that yourself. Like you have to build your own morale, your own confidence, your own self-love. Only you can do that. So I think that's why I feel a bit happier because I'm realizing like I can give that to myself. I don't need anyone else. And who knows you better than you, right? So I feel like I know myself, and when people try to do what this person did, and they try to gaslight me, when they try to do stuff like that, because I know myself, I can say that's not true. But then there are some things that people might say about me that I can say, well, well, it might be true. I gotta fix that, but it might be true. Well, so that's why I think I feel a bit happier because I feel like I've woken up in that way. Other ways that I feel happy is that this kind of like going, this is a lot of this is like going off of 2024 and going into 2025. I just think that I have a lot of confidence in myself now that whatever happens this year in 2025, I'm going to make it. I've made it before. I can make it again. I just have to, big thing for this year, I have to be around the right people. I I have all the data to prove and show that when I'm not around the right people, my life is a disaster. Professionally, emotionally, mentally. I That's something I'm gonna be very strict about this year. And I'm happy I've come to that realization. Like, don't be around people that don't like you. Do not do it. If people don't like you, don't be around them. If people are making you uncomfortable, don't be around them. You know, if especially if you're not forced to have to be around certain people, just don't do it to yourself. If someone's abusive, even if it means you having to be homeless or X, Y, and Z, sometimes it's better and easier just to take like the route of just leaving. And because I've gone through this something similar to this before when I was a teenager, and I think that there's always going to be a hard period, but I think the hard period is going to be longer the longer you stick around in the wrong environment and around abusers. So something that I've learned from this past year, and I'm so happy that I've woken up to this, is that don't be around those people. Plain and simple. Don't be around them. If you gotta, you know, eat crow for a bit so that you can get to a better place mentally, physically, financially, etc., do that. Even if it means being in the most uncomfortable situations. If being in an uncomfortable situation gets you to a better place faster, do that. Because I feel for me, I've wasted like Q4 of 2024 because I was in an environment where I couldn't heal. And because of that, I feel like it's taking me longer to get to a better place where I can think properly and, make an income for myself. And, I feel like I spent like the past 2 years in survival mode, to be honest. Like, I really was in survival mode. And so I'm not going to be in survival mode this year. No, I'm not. I'm not going to be in survival mode. I know that the beginning of this year will be very difficult, trying to figure out where to live next and everything. But I'm confident that beyond that, like, I think now is the calm before the storm. And then once the storm hits, it's going to be a calm for the rest of the year. I'm going to make sure that happens for myself. Yeah. What else? I don't know how long this is. I was hoping not to go over 30 minutes. Another thing that I feel happy for. Sorry, this is probably long because I told that story about I told that story about about my confidence being put back in check. Trying to think. Another thing is that I finally got to cook again. Oh my gosh! Like I was so happy to get to. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier in this video. I got to cook this week. So I think I might have mentioned it before on this channel that like I study culinary and etc. Like outside of my IT. Like I like to study different domains. I'm a polymath, so I like to study lots of different things and try to get to not to a place where I'm an expert, but close enough in each of these things. Sorry, my hair's still wet. And oops, lost scarf on. But by the way, I have my scarf on because when I wear these hats, I don't like for it to create friction against my hair. So, as you know, I have dry curly hair, and it's winter, so don't want to add more friction. But anyway, oh yeah, sorry about that. So yes, I got to cook, and as I mentioned before, I took up culinary, and I was so happy to cook. I felt like so in my element, just warmed my heart this week. And my food was good. My food was banging. Like my food was banging. By the way, if you hear those squeaks, it's a chair. Calm down. It's a very old chair. Yeah, like you see, I moved into that. Who cares? But yeah, anyway, so I got to cook this week. It felt so good to cook. For those of you that don't know, or if I've never mentioned it on this channel before, I know I'm like an onion, there's so many layers. But anyway, I wrote a cookbook. It's called Namo Soul Cookbook. And it's where I take like traditional Southern recipes and add a twist to them. And then there's two parts to the cookbook where it's all the same recipes, but more of a like a more health conscious approach. So this week when I cooked the health conscious recipe, and I didn't tell anyone. And I just went to see would they be able to figure it out. And let me just say, I am so proud that like I've mastered like having the same taste of traditional soul food, but much healthier. And like, cause you know when sometimes you make like healthier version of something and it don't taste good, like it's not as good as the original. No, my food tastes just as good as the original, and I'm so happy. So what I did in my cookbook was that I spent like a year and a half, maybe it was almost close to 2 years, testing out recipes, like calling different family members, testing out my own recipes, looking at recipes online, and I feel like a lot of things just I don't know, like I took a lot of the traditional recipes that I've gathered from different people, and then I took my culinary experience and I made like soul food with a twist. It's kind of like incorporating things that I kind of played around with, experimenting with different spices and different textures. So I did that for 2 years because another thing is that me personally, like I am neurodivergent and I have like issues like I have sensory issues like when it comes to textures and stuff. I'll give you an example when it comes to mac and cheese. You ever seen like mac and cheese, like the Kraft mac and cheese, where it's like really cheesy and there's no texture to it? That freaks me out. I literally vomit. I'm literally vomit, but if you try to feed that to me, I'll vomit. Like mac and cheese that's really creamy, doesn't have a texture. Mac and cheese that's gooey and or things like Alfredo sauce, Alfredo pasta, ma mashed potatoes, like all that stuff. I there's a word for this. It's not misophonia is like the auditory thing. I can't remember. I'll look it up later. But there's something that's a name for this, like that people that have that sensitivities to certain textures. So anyway, so my cookbook, I kind of incorporated like some of those things as well, like adding in different textures, but still maintaining like traditional recipes. So I did that, and then yeah, so as I mentioned, so I have the healthier version, and what I love is that I made the healthier version this week, and I even kind of upgraded it a little bit from what's in the cookbook, and I feel so good that I did not get the itis after eating mac and cheese, candy yams, steak and gravy, collard greens, what else? And ham. Did not get the itis. Did not get the itis at all. I was like, that makes me feel good because it makes me feel like you can have soul food and you not feel like so heavy. And by the way, I even did an experiment at the end of was it last year? Because and the last time I've made any of this stuff was the end of last year, and it was like right before I finished the cookbook, so I was like experimenting a lot and testing. So I ate soul food for 3 months straight, almost to the point where I didn't even want to see it again after that. But during that time, I did mostly the health conscious version, and I was gonna say, oh yeah, and I actually believe it or not, did not gain weight. Because, usually you eat fried chicken and stuff like that. And, well, I mean, I didn't eat too much fried chicken because I'm not actually a fan of fried chicken too much. Just like occasionally, but like I'm like, maybe it's a texture thing for me. Like I'm very like weird about that kind of stuff. I just, yeah, fried chicken's like a once in a while type thing for me. Yeah, the fact that like, I was eating like all those like soul food items, like cornbread and everything, even though I had an allergy to corn, I found like an alternative for that. Yeah, and I was eating that for like maybe 3 months straight, and I didn't gain weight. I didn't have any issues with my blood pressure or anything. And yeah, anyway, so I love that this whole week I had the food from updated version that I made, and I was like, wow, I didn't get I think I wrote this on social media. I think I scheduled that. I didn't send it out yet. Saying that I can't believe I didn't get the bubble guts or the itis from my food this week. I'm so shocked about that. Because usually, you eat anything with dairy or anything, but that's the thing is that my recipe for the health conscious version of soul food, my normal soul food health conscious recipes replaces a lot of that stuff. Instead of using a lot of cheeses, I keep getting this. Instead of adding lots of cheeses, what I do is I took lots of things from it's still recording. Oh yeah. I took lots of things from vegan dishes and kind of incorporated that. So instead of using heavy cream and heavy milk, I use rice milk. Yes, in my mac and cheese, I use rice milk and even do sweetened rice milk. And even my noodles are rice noodles, like rice pasta noodles. I have an allergy to brown rice, but it is better that I do brown rice pasta noodles versus regular egg noodles because that just tears my stomach apart. And what else? Yeah, and then I also do a mix of vegan cheeses and then at least one cheese that is real cheese. I have done mac and cheese that's all vegan, and I experimented so much with that as well. Getting the texture right with that is so hard, depending on the brand. And I found that, especially with vegan cheeses, it's better to melt it at a time as much as possible. And then, because I do is that I make my cheese sauce and then I pour it over the noodles and mix in the noodles in the pot, not in the pan. I mean, in the pan, not the pot. And then on top of that, I add cheese that isn't melted into the mac and cheese to get like a texture. But you can't really do that with vegan mac and cheese, depending on the brand, because then you just get chunks of clusters of cheese. But again, I had to spend so much time figuring that out, lots of money to spend on these recipes and stuff. And yeah, so anyway, I won't go on and on about that, but yeah, that really, really made me feel so good. The fact that also makes me, I guess this is one area where it is good to get others' validation to build your confidence. The fact that everyone was like, oh my gosh, your ham looks really good. The mac and cheese is really good. Everything's really good. The candy yams. Other thing, my candy yams, I don't use regular sugar. I use coconut sugar. Coconut sugar. And one time I used only honey and monk fruit. That one wasn't too bad. But if you wanted to get it like quite close to regular candy yams, you have to do, first of all, you have to boil the yams first to get them soft because what happens is that when you candy them in regular sugar, it gets soft over time. But in monk fruit, coconut sugar, honey, it doesn't, those, I guess, natural sweeteners. kind of burn and fast, and they don't really cook the yams down. So you have to cook the yams first, boil them, whatever first, get them kind of soft, and then and I've tried different ways as well, just do it in water first. Like that probably the easiest way, or steam them as well, that works, and then candy them. Yeah, anyway, see, look, I love talking about food and cooking and everything. Yeah, I think these are some positives I could think about going into this new year is that I'm thinking differently. I'm reboosting my confidence. I hope that I will have I hope that I will have a lot more times cooking this year because that makes me so happy. I love to cook. I love to cook. I love to draw. Another thing I realized I didn't do in 2024. I don't think I made not one piece of art. I didn't draw not one. Oh, I did. I did. When I went to the pier in Manhattan, I went to Chelsea Piers, and there's like a park on the water, and it was so beautiful one night. And I would go there. Well, the first night I went and I tried to like draw the outline of it. I needed more time, so I just kept going back, and I did draw that. But I didn't draw this year. I didn't paint. I mean, last year. So I'm excited about that this year. That I feel like regardless of what happens, I'm gonna bring back my artistic side. Like I will say in 2024, I did lots of writing. So I think I might want to do a little bit less writing and more like art challenges, maybe, because that really makes me happy too. Yeah. So I think there is something to start off this year be about. I'm pretty sure there's maybe more things I might be thinking about right now, but I know I've been talking for quite some time. So yeah, I'm just happy to be alive. I'm happy to be alive and to be here and be okay and have a roof over my head. That's something to be happy about because, it's hard times right now. And I'm just not thinking anything else I can be happy about. I know watch, I'm going to get off camera and think of 10 more things. That always happens. But yeah, anyway, as I said in the beginning of this video, I just wanted to do this before that other video because I'm like, girl, you got to do the positive first. Come on. You got to do the positive first. This is my, this should be my first video of the year. If I decide to do another one, it's better than this one. Should be my first video of the year. And I guess that was it for now. It's probably been like 50 minutes. I have a video idea that I might do probably tomorrow because I'm tired now. I might do tomorrow all the books that I normally read in the beginning of the year. So every year, like and so funny, last year I didn't do this. Well, because I was going through a lot and I was like trying to like leave the country and all this stuff. There's a lot going on. But yeah, I just realized I didn't do this last year, but every year. Uh, oops, sorry, I'm sitting on my leg. Hold on. Oh, oh, sorry about that. I was sitting on my leg. Oh, and it got numb. Yeah, I always sit very funny in chairs until I can't feel my leg. I'm also a very neurodivergent thing. But anyway, so every year I read 5 to 10 books, so 5 to 8 books in the beginning of the year to kind of like, you know, help me like hit the ground running. Because like, there's some books that like really make a difference in your life, and you just read them once, and then you feel motivated, and then it goes away. So I have a thing, like almost a ritual, where every year I start off the new year, like, okay, gotta read these books, and after I'm like, oh yeah. For example, just very quickly, there's a book by Peter Levels named it's called Make. And it's like helping indie hackers and entrepreneurs through the pathway of just building an MVP and building quickly and getting customers and etc. And I read that book every year because when I read it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot I can do that. Oh my God. And it's the same book. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. I even have notes on the book. But there's something about reading the book all over again, especially in the beginning of the year, that I'm just like, That's right, and it gets me going, it gets, and I start making stuff and building, and this year, I'm adding 3 new books. I think there's a total of maybe 13 or 15, something like that. I mean, I could read 2 to 3 books a week, so I think I should be done with this list before the end of February, definitely before the end of February, especially now because, like, I don't listen to music anymore or anything. I've been replacing books with music with books. I'll do that. Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do a video about the books that I read in the beginning of the year, and hopefully they'll help you. Maybe you've never heard of some of these books. I'm sure, like, if you're not big on Twitter, especially like indie hacker Twitter or entrepreneur Twitter, or not LLC Twitter, but I'm sure you might have not even heard of keto levels. Maybe if you watch the Lex Freeman podcast, I think he was on that recently. But yeah, anyway, his book, Make, I mean, I love that book. Like, I read it every single year. Another one is, I'm forgetting. It's another one that's similar to Make. I think it's called Million Dollar Weekend. That one just came out. That's another one. Now, the author, I have lots of things to say about, but it's the message, not the messenger. Not a lot of things to say about, just one thing that he did during the murder of George Floyd. That I was like, not during, but when when it was being talked about, he said something, and I was like, but that was a long time ago now. But that book, I do have to admit, is actually really great. It had some really great things in it. So I'm going to add that to my repertoire of books that I will read at the beginning of the year, every year. So that's new on my list. So I'm going to do a video about that. I'll do that. I'm going to get some rest. I have 2 meetings in the morning, and then I think I'm going to just record a video. I'm gonna do just like this. Like, I don't think I can go out in the cold much longer. I don't think so. So maybe I need like a nice backdrop or something. Maybe I need to add some flowers or something back here while I'm here, and to make it nice while I'm recording. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I think this video is almost an hour now. So yeah, in the future video, you'll see the one I recorded earlier today, and you'll see the one about the books. I've talked a lot in this video. I hope you are getting a great start to your year. I hope you're like me and you're trying to keep it positive regardless of what's happening. Even if your life is chaotic and everything's going wrong like mine, I hope that you can just find the small things to be happy about. One last thing is that what does help me is that, like, when I stop writing down my like gratitude, I start feeling sad again, and I start getting taken down by my life and experiences. That might be one thing you want to try this year. It doesn't have to be every day. Just like when you're feeling down, sometimes I do that. I just say, okay, I'm gonna start off and be like, I'm thankful that I could breathe. I'm thankful, like the things that we take for granted, especially as able-bodied people. But those are actually things to be thankful for, because there are people every day that like lose limbs to diabetes, they lose their sight, X, Y, and Z. So I'm telling you, just keep doing that, writing things down that you're happy about, and you will start to feel a little bit better about life if you're going through a hard time. That's all. Thank you for listening to my Dario Epiphany. If you stayed all the way through this video, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. If you are not subscribed, you could just hit that subscribe button somewhere here. I would love for you to come back. And if you skip around the video, it's okay. That's why I put the timestamps. You find what fits for you. And I hope to see you again soon. If you're a returning person, thank you for watching and for being, loyal. And if there's anything in this video that you had liked or you want to give your take on, I really enjoy when you guys comment. I really do. It makes me feel like, okay, like I said something that resonated with someone. So I love that. So yeah, I'll just end it by saying If you liked anything in this video, you can also hit the like button. If you like this video, you can also subscribe to the video because there'll be more like this coming. And if you found something to comment on, you can just leave a comment. And I try to respond back within 24 hours and let's start a conversation. So anyway, what you can do actually is share what you're happy and positive about for 2025. I want to hear that. Like if you're like me and you go into something, but you have a positivity list, please share it because I think it'll spread the positivity. And even if you aren't going through something, but you have things to be positive and happy about, share those as well. I would love to read them. I think I'm the type of person where I love when other people are happy. It makes me happy, and I love when other people are like living their lives. I'm just like, yeah, let's go, girl, or you know, makes me feel happy. So anyway. Have a great day, evening, night, wherever you are, and I will talk soon. Bye.